without a need for foreign aid. Do you have absolute confidence in the ability of security agencies to come to your aid when you need it? Do the emergency lines in this country even work? For answers to these and more, join me, Noang Falong, on MX24.
Unique, contemporary, engaging. Introducing the ultimate talk show that captures, scrutinizes, and stirs up conversations around relevant content across the globe. We talk to the movers and shakers in the tech, youth entrepreneurship, creative arts industry, and many more. Join me, Kwame A. Opoku, usher you to the realm beyond the headlines, new tech releases, trends, and clicks. It's going to be a fun ride on MS Conversations.
Yes, guys, it's your girl, Miss Drew, your hostess with the mostest. I'll see you in the next moment.
Across Africa, nations are beginning to trade among themselves like never before, creating the largest continental market the world has ever seen. On the Single African Market Program, we will show you how products, services, capital and people will be crossing barriers as the continent and its citizens embrace a single market in a sustainable manner for growth and development to meet targeted UN development goals.
Congratulations, Your Excellency.
Get the latest update on all opportunities from the continent's trade house. Know the success stories and how challenges are being addressed. Africa is ready to trade among itself and the world, so are the people. The Single African Market is the voice of businesses that trumpets the vision of Africa everywhere, in association with the Government of Ghana, International Chamber of Commerce, Business for Peace Foundation, GIZ, UNECA, and UNDP.
The Single African Market, this Monday at 8 p.m. on MX24.
Do you know the top 10 music trends? Have you seen the new music videos everyone is talking about? Do you know how your favorite artist makes their music? I'm moving, but they be bluffing and puffing and they be screaming and yapping, some even feeling and bragging. First thing is, I'm patient. That talented upcoming artist in your area needs the spotlight. Let them be our unsung star. Do you have any questions about music? I am Jason Alay, and I'm a music plug on MX Chart right here on MX24. The Saturday nights just got better.
With unimaginable excitement.
Ten toes, one girl, make it touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it. Ow, ow, yeah.
The most heated rap battles.
Squad for the work with soldiers, but on your campo, Bema.
I play you menace ready, it be me with the top. Godzilla self chop, who be King Kong.
And of course, your A-list celebrity interviews.
I've always said this though, there can only be one Bob Marley, so definitely there should be one episode.
Me? The threesome.
Orafu wa comedy woman de. Yeah. Nyansa. Don't fuck. Lighter.
For myself, Oferua.
I'm Jason Alay, and I do this with the man,
DJ Varosky.
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say.
Right here in Accra, there have been similar meetings in the last few months. In fact, going as far back as last year, we did some of these engagements on Spotlight right here. There have been similar meetings between government and the University Teachers Association of Ghana. It has not resulted in any desirable results as yet. So we are not sure if today's meeting is going to result in desirable outcomes. But of course, we'll be bringing you an update. Hopefully they conclude before we end Spotlight. It's important to also mention that where this strike is concerned, last week on February 15th, the National Labour Commission petitioned an Accra High Court and placed an injunction on the strike by UTAG. This has still not stopped the strike, although the injunction was for UTAG to suspend the strike while negotiations continue. Today on Spotlight, we are going to be looking at the impact of this impasse on the academic calendar, among other pressing questions. And we're going to be speaking to some stakeholders, including Dr. Samuel Nkumba. He's the president of the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG. We'll also be speaking with El Ankra, who is PRO of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Also, Ni Ama Adi, who is an educationist with the Center of Social Justice. Also, George Kofi Aboa, he's the convener of the Coalition of Concerned University Students. These gentlemen will be joining me right after this break. Stay with us.
Unique, contemporary, engaging. Introducing the ultimate talk show that captures, scrutinizes, and stirs up conversations around relevant content across the globe. We talk to the movers and shakers in the tech, youth entrepreneurship, creative arts industry, and many more. Join me, Kwame A. Opoku, usher you to the realm beyond the headlines, new tech releases, trends, and clicks. It's going to be a fun ride on MS Conversations.
Across Africa, nations are beginning to trade among themselves like never before, creating the largest continental market the world has ever seen. On the Single African Market Program, we will show you how products, services, capital and people will be crossing barriers as the continent and its citizens embrace a single market in a sustainable manner for growth and development to meet targeted UN development goals.
Congratulations, Your Excellency.
Get the latest update on all opportunities from the Continent's Trade House. Know the success stories and how challenges are being addressed. Africa is ready to trade among itself and the world, so are the people. The Single African Market is the voice of businesses that trumpets the vision of Africa everywhere, in association with the Government of Ghana, International Chamber of Commerce, Business for Peace Foundation, GIZ, UNECA, and UNDP.
The Single African Market, this Monday at 8 p.m. on MX24.
Hey guys, it's another Tuesday. You know how we do it. This is Tech Today with your boy Eddie Kumsen. You know how we do it. Is that time?
Says Apple doesn't need to be pressured to follow the trends, because I mean Apple is Apple. Apps run better on iOS devices than they ever run on Android.
Yeah. So coding is an integral part of tech, but there are so many fields in tech as well. So
it has a car system where you can monetize and change any configuration that you want.
I'm here to give you the latest trends, the rumors and the leaks in the world of tech.
Women, especially mothers, are the very core of our existence. Our everyday progression is hinged on the success of their activities, whether they are managing a home, a business, or raising the next generation. This is the Talkative Mom Show, where I interact with hard-working women who are making an impact in society. I'm Eno Craigman, your plug for everything motherhood, especially in today's generation of millennial moms. Join me on the Talkative Mom Show, where I interact with my guests, have fun conversations here on MX24.
Then you is a poem. It's sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be?
Do you know the top 10 music trends? Have you seen the new music videos everyone is talking about? Do you know how your favorite artist makes their music? I'm moving, but they be bluffing and puffing and they be screaming and yapping, some even feeling and bragging. First thing is, I'm patient. That talented upcoming artist in your area needs the spotlight. Let them be our unsung star. Do you have any questions about music? I'm Jason Alay, and I'm a music plug on MX Chart right here on MX24.
Your Saturday nights just got better.
With unimaginable excitement.
10 toes, one girl, make it touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it. Ow, ow, yeah.
The most heated rap battles.
Squad for the work with soldiers, but on your campo, Bema.
I feel you menace ready, it be me with the top. Godzilla self chop, who be King Kong.
And of course, your A-list celebrity interviews.
I've always said this though, there can only be one Bob Marley, so definitely there should be one episode.
Me? The threesome.
Orafu wa comedy woman de. Yeah. Nyansa, don't fuck. Lighter.
For myself, Oforiwa.
I'm Jason Alay, and I do this with the man,
DJ Varosky.
Where the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I mentioned before we went on that break, we are examining the present impasse between university teachers and government and the impact it's having on teaching and learning in our universities. We're speaking with Dr. Samuel Nkuban, who is president of the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG, and he's on the line right now. Hello, sir. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Spotlight.
Good evening, and good evening to your panelists as well as viewers and listeners.
If you can just give us a quick understanding of the situation presently.
Well, thank you very much. I think what the situation is that UTAG is still holding on to withdrawal of teaching and related activities as a means of pressing home the demand that UTAG is made on government in relation to our poor conditions of service. Reason is that we currently are having to deal with the issue of legality or otherwise of this action as has been brought upon us by the National Labour Commission by way of a lawsuit. And so we've been in court on 2 occasions at which the judge advised that we needed to engage and to resolve the matter. Unfortunately, we have not come to any conclusion as yet. And the last time we were in court, there was an injunction that was granted the National Labour Commission on the action. UTAG in order that we do not flout the court order, and also given that we had concerns with the ruling, UTAG filed to set aside the ruling. And so tentatively, the substantive matter was adjourned the last time we were in court to Tuesday, which is tomorrow. And so UTAG is looking forward to having the substantive matter heard tomorrow, and whether or not a determination will be made immediately. That is where we stand at the moment.
So until tomorrow, you won't be sure if you'll be successful at this or not?
Exactly the point. And also that, of course, we are very much aware of the implications on our campuses and what it means for the academic calendar, what it means for us as lecturers going back into the classroom. And so, as much as possible, we are willing to engage, but also that we cannot be in court whilst we do so. So we would probably have to see to the end of the legal processes, and then we can take a firm decision going forward.
Doc, we understand that you are presently in a meeting discussing this very subject. Is there any chance that there will be any favorable outcomes to this meeting?
Well, of course, we just started the meeting barely 30, 40 minutes into the meeting, and it has to do with giving ourselves time to review what has transpired so far, where the loopholes are, where the possible options would be for us. And so it's still early days yet. We are not sure what the ultimate decision would be from here. But like I said, if there's going to be anything, then it has to be after the court hearing has been done, which will be tomorrow.
Your engagements with government so far, has there been any assurance of your issues being resolved?
Unfortunately, government indicates its appreciation of the deplorable condition of UTAG members. And of course, it indicates the willingness to do something about it. But I must indicate that the situation we find ourselves in as UTAG and on the side of government is to do with the question of trust deficit. And so if it's the case that UTAG was made to call off its strike last academic year, we suspended the strike. We got the academic year completed. The period within which National Labour Commission required of us and government to be able to execute the negotiations, and for which reason we probably would not have been at where we are, that didn't happen, unfortunately. And so for government, it would be illegal to engage us because we are on strike. For UTAG, we were made to suspend our strike by obeying that it would be illegal to be on strike while we negotiate. When we did that, we didn't get results. And so it is difficult for UTAG in general to seek to suggest again that we would make any headway if we were to call off the action, which certainly is affecting a lot of us. And so that is where the trust deficit is. Government says that it is willing to do this, just as it said in the past, for which reason we suspended our strike. So we are saying that if you have any offer to make us, please put it on the table. Let's do an assessment of what it is that you can offer us on the basis of how far we have come with the negotiation and your appreciation of what it is that we are demanding of you. So that when that happens, then of course we would be also in the position to advise general membership on the way forward, and then we possibly would be getting back to the classroom. So that is where we find the fix.
Doc, is there any indication that this strike action will be called off anytime soon, within today, tomorrow?
Well, of course, like I said, there's no end in sight at the moment until we go to court tomorrow, and then a determination is probably made, and then we take it from there.
Let's assume you go back into the classroom at any point in time. How do you intend to catch up on these 7 weeks that have been lost?
Well, of course, it's usually the case that management and members of UTAG would agree on a revised academic calendar that would take care of the time lost so far that we have to engage with.
Say a revision. Does that mean the calendar is going to start afresh, or you continue from where it was ended? What exactly happens to adjust it?
The academic year has not started. In the reality is that it was supposed to have started. For University of Ghana, lectures were supposed to have started on the 17th. And so we never got started with lectures. And so what it will mean is that we are starting afresh. Either we are going to double the workload on ourselves and on students in order to make up, or that we are going to extend rather into the other side of the semester, so that at least we are able to make up for the time that is lost.
Doc, there have been many serious meetings concerning this subject, even as far as having the vice chancellors meet government, meet the lecturers. Nothing came out of it, nothing substantive?
Exactly the point, and that is our position, that we cannot continue to be meeting in perpetuity. And so it is important that our demands are quite pretty clear, and we expect that government will engage them accordingly and then give us a feedback. And then we can pick it from there, rather than the back and forth as to call off the strike, don't call off the strike, and all of that.
But Doc, these demands have been long-standing. Let's assume you do not get any results soon. Are you going to continue with the strike indefinitely?
Well, the fact is that when we were communicating the declaration of the industrial action, we indicated that it was going to be indefinite until such time that government met our demand.
Interesting. So let's assume you have specific recommendations to give in bridging this gap as it stands. What would they be?
Oh, of course. What we are saying in the interim is that government needs to make up the difference between the 114% of interim market premium that we were enjoying as of 2016, which a freeze was put on without the needed action of doing a labor market survey and putting us on a market premium that would have made us better off and not worse off than the 114% of interim market premium that we were getting. And so for us, that would be an interim or a starting point, so that we can get back whilst they engage the new labor market survey report that has been submitted, doing all the stakeholder engagement that is required in order to make a pronouncement on the market premium, which of course the expectation is that it wouldn't make us worse off.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel Kuban. He is president of the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG. Thank you so much for your input today. We'll be coming back to you as we need you, but we have on the line an educationist. Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yes.
Thank you too.
Thank you for yes. It's not your first time on Spotlight.
I think that program names have changed. So I was used to be in the afternoon at 12, and then it got to the evening news, and then now it's Spotlight. So I think it's the first time on Spotlight.
Right. Thank you so much. Nonetheless, from your angle, when you look at assess the whole situation quickly for us, please.
I mean, it's very unfortunate. We shouldn't be where we are now. We shouldn't at all be where we are now. I mean, coming from COVID, which has changed the university calendar drastically from August to now start the academic year in January, and then working hard to bring the calendar to normalcy. This shouldn't be the thing that we should be seeing. And I maintain that for those calling for the universities to close, I do not subscribe to that, because once you close the university, then the urgency or the importance for us to come back will further drag. So they have to stay in school and ensure that the correct things are being done. But we have a difficulty. We have an extreme difficulty where two parties at the negotiation table have taken entrenched positions. Okay? Because from what we heard the UTAG president of the University of Ghana said in the interview, is that until their demands are met, they're not going to go back. And government is also asking that they cannot negotiate with them whilst they are on strike, and therefore they need to come back. So it means that the parties at the negotiation table have taken an extreme and an entrenched position. And once you have those entrenched positions, then it means that negotiating is going to be very difficult, because none of the parties is prepared to move to the center where you meet each 50-50. Why is this so on the part of the university? They may say that trust is lost, and that is what I deduced from what the UTAG president said, that last year when they went on strike, government spoke to them and assured them to come back, and that they are going to meet them. And once that promise was not kept, it means that they do not have trust with what government is saying again. And that is what is making them entrench their position, that give us, and then we before we come back. And government is also saying that resume work. At least who suffers? Okay? If you stay on strike and tomorrow government come to give you what you are asking for, the students would have suffered unduly. When he was saying that the academic calendar will be discussed and be amended or etc., or to make sure that once they come back, they are able to do their work as expected of them. He did not explain the pressure that puts on students. Because we've lost 7 to 8 weeks already. If we come back and we still want to maintain the academic calendar, it means that they have to double their efforts, as he's saying. So instead of closing lectures at a particular time, you would have to extend the time. And you expect students to go through those longer periods of time, which is going to be a stress on the students. Okay? We have to consider that fact. Let us not forget that if, as the result of what is happening, a student gets C or fail in its subject, the student is going to suffer it alone. And he's going to carry that transcript for the rest of his life. And that may even prevent others from gaining scholarships to maybe do graduate programs. Okay? So we have to see where the suffering is. Okay? But you see, when we discuss all this, it brings us to the positioning of politicization of our education. And let me say that our education is over-politicized. Because when the UTAG president spoke, he spoke of market premium of 114% in 2015. And every progressive society wants to see that they are better off today than they were yesterday.
Previously.
So if those things are not happening, if it was 114% in 2015, 2022, you expect that something would have been done.
Improvement.
If for economic reasons we are not able to do it, we should be forthright with our communication on the matter, instead of waiting for them to go on strike and then we try to explain our situation. Because we all know the economic situation of the country now.
And actually, government is presently trying to reduce expenditure, which includes capping increases in public salaries. How is this going to manifest? You know, at a time when we're trying to cap an increase in public salaries, then there's pressure for an increase in these salaries. Do you see government giving in anytime soon?
I mean, one party would have to give in. I mean, they have to all move to the center. Okay? Both parties would have to move to the center in order for us to make headway, because we cannot afford what is going on. We cannot afford what is going on. We definitely, university work has to resume. And I mean, it is a leadership call. So yes, government can say that in the interim, this is what we'll do. But in the long run, this is how it will go. You know, it needs to bring a proposal on the table, which is what the UTAG president is saying. Government needs to bring a proposal on the table or a counter offer to what they are asking for, so that there will be discussion. Okay, but I mean, as they say, you cannot give what you do not have. If government do not have the means, okay, if government do not have the means, it means that you cannot give it. So is it a case that you're going to promise them and give it in the future? And what is the assurance that they're going to get it in that future? Especially when they are saying that they've been there
already.
before.
Yeah.
You see, so that is it. It's very difficult, and it worries me that this issue dragged all the way to the court. Because what will be the consequence if the court insists and they say they will not go and block, as they say? Are you going to sack all of them, and when do you replace all of them?
But how do we fix?
So it shouldn't even have gotten to that level. It shouldn't even have gotten to the court level.
Mr. Adi, how do we fix the frequency? Because, you know, this has been going on for a while. Even last year on Spotlight, we discussed this. There is no end in sight.
We fix the frequency by making you your promise. When you promise something, you have to do it. A gentleman must be as sincere in his words as his handshake. So once you shake the hands of the person, it shouldn't be other ulterior motive. If you promise, you have to deliver on your promise. Okay? Because you promise based on what you know you can do. But even if it happens that you cannot do it, you have to be ahead in communicating why you cannot do it, rather than waiting for situation to be where we are now. Okay. So for me, I don't think, you see, we are in a hurry to go to court. But you see, everything is not about legality. Because sometimes when you get so legalistic, I mean, it complicates the issues. That's why our great-grandparents will say, is there no elderly person in the house? Don't we have elderly people who can call parties to the table and say, look, let's reason as a people. We have a country to develop.
Right, Mr.
Let
Adi.
us not disadvantage anybody.
Yeah.
You see.
Thank you, Mr. Adi. Just give me a moment. Let me call in now. We have a concerned student on the line. He's, in fact, the convener of the Concerned Students Association. His name is George Kofi Aboa. Good evening, George. Thank you for joining us on Spotlight.
Yeah, good evening. I'm humbled you have me on your show this evening.
I'm sorry?
Please, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I was saying I'm humbled you have me on your show this evening.
Thank you. We are humbled. For students, what has been the impact? Mr. Adi was just talking about the unfairness of students getting caught in this crossfire. For you, what has been the impact?
Yeah, we've been speaking on this matter for 8 weeks now, and we believe that after this rigorous fight between these huge bodies, which is the government and UTAG, it still boils down to the fact that the ordinary Ghanaian university students will be the ones to face all repercussions and the circumstances to bear in the near future. Why do I say this? We realize that in all these 8 weeks, the individual that pays fees, that pays social fees, that the employer, which is the government, uses this part of money in conjunction with the management of the university to even pay the lecturers, is the one suffering. We, at the Coalition of Concerned University Students, believe that even aftermath of our demonstration, the government has not gained proper ears to hit the plight of the lecturers, because we understand that even if they are to meet the lecturers halfway, that is our stance, that though what the lecturers are demanding for is very huge, but are you sure that on the table of negotiations, if their plight and grievances are to be even met halfway, we will still be at this point of impasse? No. So we would keep on speaking on behalf of the ordinary Ghanaian students. As I speak to you, we are humbly waiting on tomorrow's verdict. That's the outcome of the NLC UTAG litigation at the court. We are just being optimistic that after the court ruling, there should be a convincing and, I would say, palatable outcome that the good university students will be proud of. But if we don't get an encouraging outcome. It means that we need to plan our series of demonstrations. We need to keep on planning our series of picketing at the Ministry of Education, because at the long run, it is the student that suffers this. And I'll pick in the same vein that Mr. Ni Adi said. You see, whenever the academic calendar is disrupted, it then relies on the onus of the management to reschedule stuff that would still impose or complicate the graduation of these students. Students that are to work on their final year thesis, look at the medical student, look at the allied health student, the nursing student that are to work on research-based thesis or research. They don't have their lecturers who are their supervisors on campus to continue with this, meaning that even if they are to graduate, they will still need ample time to finish with this. Look at a student that even he or she has the plan of reading his master's immediately after undergraduate studies. I mean that you need to postpone all these. These are cruel repercussions. We feel that both government and UTAG are not looking into the matter. Though if UTAG are to return back from this strike and back to the classrooms, they will hurry up and crumble a lot of things on the student. But we believe it is cruel, it is inhuman.
Do you think the
we
lecturers
will
are
not
being
stop protesting on that part.
Do you think there's some unfairness from the camp of the lecturers where you people are concerned?
I wouldn't say there is a form of kind of unfairness. You know why I say this? When we look at the genesis of the matter, the strike started last year in August. Equally, government NLC told UTAG to go back to the negotiation table and call off the strike. They did that. We are following the case. Always remember that I don't.
Okay, we're having problems with the line there.
Association of Ghana Criminal Coordinator. We had a lot of this matter. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes, it was freezing.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I was reiterating on the matter that this strike started last year in August. If we are to have a pretty recall very well, and equally, government and NLC told UTAG to go back to the negotiation table. I'm not communicating on behalf of UTAG. I would not communicate on behalf of NLC or government. I was speaking as it is, as an ordinary university student who see the matter. So at that moment, what compelled government not to even meet government halfway? That's government not to meet UTAG halfway, sorry. And now we're in a situation that UTAG has taken its own entrenched position. The question we should be asking ourselves that what is compelling them not to call off the strike? These university teachers equally have wards that are in the universities. They know these repercussions on their wards. But why is it that this fight has been elongated to the extent that they don't want to call off the strike after meeting the select committee that are parliament? So they don't want to call it off. We should be in these kind of questions. I wouldn't think that is unfairness. I think that they are fighting for their conditions of services. But it still boils down to the fact that it is the ordinary Ghanaian student that will suffer these repercussions. So we would not relent, we would still protest that both big groups settle the matter amicably, go back to the negotiation table, and we on the side of the university students will have a progress on the academic calendar.
George, what approach do you suggest? Now, this issue has gotten as far as court. What would be the most appropriate approach for you?
You see, in our demonstration that was last 2 weeks Thursday, in the petition that we sent to the parliament, when we had the opportunity to meet the leadership of parliament, the suggestions we gave in the petition was very clear that if there are any promises being made by government to UTAG, they should be feasible ones. Why do I say they should be feasible ones? When you reiterate the MOU being signed by government and UTAG and other relevant stakeholders, including Ministry of Employment and Labor, including Ministry of Finance, regarding the book and research allowance, we realized that they were saying it will be effective in 2024. Payments will start in 2022, 2023, and then 2024. the big question we should be asking ourselves is that, is this a feasible map out plan? The map out plan, is it feasible? One. Two, it even goes back to Article 71. The reason why we speak on Article 71 is about increments of payments for office holders in government, those are the judicial and other individuals in government. We believe that if there should be a bipartisan team or committee that will look to the increments of public officials, one, look to that of civil servants, so that it wouldn't be that a university lecturer that might teach a law student or that might teach a medical student will feel that a mentee that he taught is receiving more than him or her. We should have a retrospective view of that, because these are the underlying factors that has brought all of us here. So what we say is that, imagine that if government is to satisfy all the needs of UTAG, does it mean that other labor unions will sit down idle and not demand for better conditions of service? It will be a labor struggle. So let's go back to those underlying factors that constitute the increment of their salaries, the basic salaries, even to the extensive point of their interim market premium. These are things that we believe they should be institutions that are to handle that, so that there wouldn't be a lot of stress on the labor front. Because if government is to meet UTAG halfway or even satisfy all their needs, I bet you medical doctors or even health professionals would decide to also seek for better conditions of service. And this goes along ground stressing the labor front. So if we are to tackle this from the basis, all these points that I've outlined are to be
George, have you picked up any information on how the academic calendar will be affected and restructured? Hello, George, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yes, have you picked any information on the restructuring of the academic calendar and how it will go?
Yeah, to be honest, from here, UG, I am studying here in UG, because University of Ghana already had a form of cohort system. That is, during the COVID-19 era when school resumed, you realize that the university were doing a lot more of the online education or interaction with their lecturers and students, and they had a form of 6 weeks interval for them to have an interface with their lecturers, and then they return back for their exams. I've not picked any intel, I've not picked any information yet from any of the SRC executives during council meetings. I've not been updated on how the academic calendar will be restructured. But I can state this on record and authority that it would still stress the university students, because the calendar will be structured such in a way that the window period for taking students once again into the university system would not be compelled to change that much. So it means that looking at when students would have
George, the network is failing us there, so my producer is going to try to catch you again on a more clearer line. But in the meantime, I'll go back to Mr. Samuel Adi, who is an educationist, and he's still on the line. Hello, sir. If you can.
Hello, Niama Adi.
Yes, yeah, Niama. Yes, please. Thank you for staying.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So at this point, you know, what is going to happen to the calendar? What is going to happen to learning? How are the students going to? Because in the meantime, while they're home, is there something they should be doing to catch up as soon as the strike is over?
Good. Definitely, we cannot even go into the merit of the calendar now until the strike is over. Right. And as it stands now, where the parties are taking an entrenched position, where we have court tomorrow, and all that, we cannot even tell. I mean, we can begin to discuss the calendar when the strike is called off. And
we're sure exactly how.
But you see, these are the, yes, and these are the things I say about holistic education. You see, we try to detach our university education from the community, from industry, etc. Okay? If government is paying so much, okay, for university education, I mean, we have fee-paying and non-fee-paying students. So for non-fee-paying students, government is paying fees for them. I mean, how do you put them into the community to be able to help? And we all know that all our government schools, what we used to call Saito government schools, suffers a lot in basic reading and mathematics, arithmetic. So that a properly structured university education, which gives experience to students whilst they are in school, preparing them for the labor market, you attach them even to all these schools, all these public schools. If that has been done, I tell you that these 8 weeks, they would have been busy teaching the students how to read, so that we have a country that is developing a culture of reading. If they are effectively attached to industry, within this period, they will be busy doing some things with the companies that they are attached to. But even finding internships is a problem. The government schools where we have less teachers for more students, I mean, go and see the student-teacher ratio. And I always say as an educationist that one of the ways by which we prepare university students for a prosperous future is by way of giving them hands in teaching. That is why national service, etc., drives students more into teaching. So once they are in school, see where they're coming from, the communities they're coming from, the nearest community where you have public schools, and attach a number of them to it as even teaching assistants, so that it takes away 60 pupils to one teacher in a class, where teaching them how to read becomes even a problem. Let's have a comprehensive national policy on our education. And we can only achieve this when we depoliticize our education. Other than that, we're going to run on manifestos, promises. We're going to run on dreams of somebody wakes up the next day and feels this is the way we should take our education. Bring the minds, bring the complete minds, if you like, or stakeholders around the table. Let's plan it and have a comprehensive policy that guides our education. And in that policy, let every university student be attached to a public school in its or a community. And let's go help them from there, because the fundamentals is very weak. I mean, you have people up to primary 6 JHS sometimes in the news that we hear or see who cannot read. How do we help them? Until we make conscious effort at that. So some of these things will help the student and would have occupied them by way of project works, so that these 8 weeks would not have gone waste for us. We have to get back to the drawing table, and we have to get the right minds involved in trying to streamline our education and bringing it back to where it deserves.
Niama, we have the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and yet people have suggested that there should be an independent emoluments committee to handle the salaries of teachers. Is this something that you would advocate for?
I mean, the Fair Wages and Salaries is there, but I mean, by the nature of the operation, I mean, who pays them? I mean, in law, you talk about a separation of powers. Somebody pays somebody, and you cannot be on the shoulder of the one who pays you. Okay, so yes, they are there. They are an instrument of the law, etc. They are there, but I mean, if the Treasury says there is no money to pay, Fair Wages and Salary doesn't pay the salary, they cannot force the Treasury to pay them. So yes, they will be there for the creation, etc., and the work that they do, but that is not what the issue is. The issue actually is putting our education, let's single out education and put it under the National Development Planning Authority, where it has a tenure not touched for 10 years, for a number of years, following a written, laid down policy. If we don't do that, we're going to have problems. So if that is done, the university lecturer knows from the onset that in the next 10 years, this is the policy that I'm following. And that is what I've signed on to. Okay, but not until then, they get up to do everything. So yes, fair wages and salary, fine. They are the referee, if you like, in the middle. But definitely, they cannot be overly independent because they are a creation of them, and they cannot do beyond what government can do.
But what can government do, especially as government is broke? Government insists it's broke. Where do they find the money to pay?
So what we have to do, gentlemen, is that whatever promise we made to them, let's go back and fulfill that promise, and then we get back to the negotiation table.
Right. Okay.
Because the lecturers are entrenched that they were giving certain promises. Okay, so in a way of negotiation, say, okay, we will give you the promises that we made to you.
Okay.
In this time, whilst we continue talking, there must be a certain solution.
Well,
the money is not there immediately. Can we promise them?
Can we promise them talk of a solution?
The money is not there now.
Yes. Can the solutions include calling off the strike and coming back when government has money for them?
Yes, they should. I mean, my position remains that whatever it is, our schools must reopen. The strike must be called off. But it is condition precedent on government giving them their money. So if, like I say, in Ghana you say, Onupa Bejamelo, is there no elderly person to speak to these people? If government can say that, yes, we'll give you, we don't have money as we speak now, but we'll make an undertaking that in 6 months, in 1 year, we'll give you. So call off the strike. And then we'll work out the modalities henceforth. Then that will be a way to go. But now, as it is, I mean, they are grouped. I mean, the UTAG is grouped, and they are so much so that they are not prepared to give off one person. I mean, in an attempt to take one person, then you have to take all of them. And is this something that we can stand now? We need to give ourselves time, a roadmap to achieving a certain level of success. If the court is compelling them to go, and they are saying they will not go, and then the court says, okay, if you not go, this is the consequence. So, okay, punish all of us, or we'll all leave. Because as a matter of fact, you can't force anybody to work. So if it happens that way, what do we achieve as a country? The best way is to give ourselves time, a roadmap. So do what we have to do in the interim, give ourselves a roadmap towards a proper correction. But it seems like there is even no negotiation going on, because from what the UTAG president said, government says it cannot negotiate while they are on strike.
Right.
And they are also saying that we will not call it off because we've been there before and we're not giving what we were promised. So give us whilst we are on strike before we come back.
But when you keep suggesting, some kind of, you call it an elderly person, which means an independent arbiter, but who is going to do the job of this middleman specifically? An institution, an independent consultant? What exactly would the suggestion be there?
We have now as a country that in this instance, I mean, we've all heard before that in the past when we had our Kofi Annans of blessed memory, etc., they could step in such national difficulties and then try to bring some normalcy. I mean, we heard it. We've not been there. At a point, Kofi Annan was the chancellor of the University of Ghana, also, if I'm right. Okay, we've had those people. So I'm saying that, where are people? I don't know them. I mean, I don't know them, but I mean, leadership should know that at least there must be some faces that when we call, we say, oh, your children are quarreling again, or go and speak to them. That the lecturers can listen to. But if we are saying at this stage that such a thing does not exist in an African context where we know the role of the old lady or the role of the old man does not exist anymore, then, I mean, I don't know where we get into. But I'm saying that going to the court is good, but that will complicate the issues further.
Right. Niama, please give me your closing remarks, and then I can just go to George for his.
I would appeal. I mean, as an educationist, I'm not happy what is going on. I would appeal hand in hand with the lecturers that whatever it is, they should give government a second chance, if that is it.
Right.
They should give government a second chance. That they gave the first one August last year thereabout. they should give a chance.
Another
but
chance.
Even before then, it means that government must also be talking to them. So government must also be relaxed on its position to say call off the strike before we negotiate. Government should also extend some proposal, and they must also be able to also give government a chance so that the two can meet at the same time for our education to go on. What is going on now is not the best for the country.
Thank you, Niyama Adi. He's an educationist. He's saying the two must meet in the middle, the two parties being government and the university teachers. But he's also asking that university teachers give government a second chance. Let me go to George, who's still on the line with us. George, please, your closing remarks.
Yeah, what I would want to say while we end the show is that we believe that government and UTAG should come to a compromise because at the long run, it's still the university students that will be suffering this repercussion. We are in the 8th week. If tomorrow the litigation continues, and you and I know that when it comes to litigation procedures, it takes a whole lot of time. So if NLC is to withdraw the litigation suit sent to court, it would be a stepping stone or a yardstick to motivate the UTAG members to have a resolute on the matter so that students can go back to the classrooms, lecturers can go back to the classrooms, and they would all have an amicable way of learning.
Thank you, George Abua, who is convener of the Coalition of Concerned University Students. He's asking for compromise. Who is going to compromise? We'll be following this story, 8 weeks of strike. Who will compromise and get teachers back into the university classrooms? My name is Nwong Falong. On behalf of the entire team here at MX24 Television, we're grateful that you have spent another one of your Monday evenings with us on Relevant Conversations. Good evening.